Hi everyone, this is Shelly and you're watching There's No Place Like Home. I'm back with another video and today's topic is Jesus came to fulfill all prophecy. Today's video should be pretty brief. I'm just going to be going over specifically one verse that, of course, I'll be backing up with other verses that I have been glossing over for a long period of time. And I noticed that a lot of other people also gloss over it. And there are a few verses, a lot of verses actually, that I'm finding that as I reread them now, I'm like, wow, how did I miss that? And one of the other verses was Genesis 1:28 that I just did a video on the other day. Today's focus, though, is on Matthew 5:17. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. What I have noticed, and actually this is something that I did at first, people tend to focus on this section. Well, depending on what, well, I'll just say what group you're from, depending on how you practice your beliefs, there are some who focus just on this. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law. And there are others who focus on do not think that I have come to abolish the law, but to fulfill. And that is actually the one that I was always focusing on, that Jesus did not come to abolish the law, but to fulfill it. What I'm noticing is that people always seem to forget that it's not just the law, it's the prophets. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. To fulfill the law and the prophets. Fulfill. Before I get started on the prophets, though, I'll just share a couple quick thoughts that I have regarding do not think that I have come to abolish the law, that portion of it. Jesus came to fulfill the law, yes, and you know what? He perfectly did that. He fulfilled every single aspect of the law perfectly, up to his physical death, which was considered the ultimate punishment under the Old Covenant law. Did you know that? Did you know that death was considered the ultimate punishment? And he even fulfilled that aspect of it for us. Now, there are a lot of people who believe that we should still be doing lots of things from the Old Covenant. And they always point out that it says, do not think that I have come to abolish the law. But we need to remember what I just said. He fulfilled it perfectly for us. He didn't come to abolish it. He came to fulfill it. He did that perfectly for us. So when you place additional things from the old covenant that you think that we should still be doing, you are taking away what Jesus did on the cross for you. And this is something very similar to what the Judaizers were doing back in the apostolic times. All right, now I'm getting ready to focus on the prophets part. Did you ever think about that? Did you ever think about what does that mean? What does it mean that he hasn't come to abolish the prophets, but to fulfill them? That was actually something that I started thinking about back in, I actually think that I was in the little season camp still, and I read that verse. And I do remember even asking some friends about it. I was like, what do you think this means? Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. And then I specifically focused on the prophets. I said, I understand the law part, but what does that mean to fulfill the prophets? I said, doesn't that mean if he's fulfilling the prophets, that he will be fulfilling all prophecy? And I remember that the response that I got was, well, we think that he was talking about Old Testament prophecies that were specifically about him. If you think about it, though, all of the prophecies led to, okay, I won't say all of them, not the ones about Egypt and everything, but all of the judgment prophecies were focused on him. And it says that he came to fulfill them. Additionally, Acts 26, verses 22 and 23. To this day, I have had the help that comes from God. And so I stand here testifying both to small and great, saying nothing but what the prophets and Moses said would come to pass, that the Christ must suffer, and that by being the first to rise from the dead, he would proclaim light both to our people and to the Gentiles. So what he is saying here, and this was Paul, what he is saying here is that nothing that he was saying was new. Everything that he was saying was coming from the prophets and Moses. So if everything that Paul was teaching was coming from the prophets and Moses, we're back to this again. I have not come to abolish the prophets, but to fulfill them. So in my opinion, this is speaking of the New Testament prophecies too, because, like I just pointed out, they all came from the Old Testament, and a lot of people do not understand that. Acts 3:24. And all the prophets who have spoken, from Samuel and those who came after him, also proclaimed these days. So this was, again, the apostolic period, and they are saying that all the prophets, meaning the Old Testament prophets, the prophets of the Tanakh, who have spoken from Samuel and those who came after him, were all talking about their days in the apostolic age, which just so happened to fall in to Jesus's generation that he spoke of in Matthew 24:34, when he said, "This generation shall not pass away until you see all these things take place." Luke chapter 21, we're going to read verses 20 through 22. But when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, you will know that her desolation is near. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let those in the city get out, and let those in the country stay out of the city. For these are the days of vengeance, to fulfill all that is written. So again, we have a really good time statement right here, because it is telling us these are the days of vengeance. This was Jesus. This was Jesus who said this. And I also want to point out, it says, let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. So if this is a future worldwide judgment that Jesus was talking about, how would leaving Judea and going to the mountains save you? If it's a worldwide, cataclysmic, earth burning, heavens dissolving judgment, how would fleeing to the mountains, if you were in Judea, how would that save you? And the fact that he says, let those who are in Judea, that should be, a huge alarm bell for you, showing this is local. This is not talking about the entire world. It's just not. No matter how much you've been taught that, no matter how much you believe that, this is talking about a local judgment that even fleeing to the mountains would help you to be safe. And then it says, or these are the days of vengeance, to fulfill all that is written. He came to fulfill the prophets, not to abolish them. He came to fulfill the prophets. And I just want to also point out here, let those in the country stay out of the city. So again, if the judgment is talking about this cataclysmic worldwide judgment where everything is going to be destroyed, how is staying out of the city and just, remaining in the country going to save you if you're in the area of Judea? Please think about this. Please. I'm begging you to please think about these things. I just want to close this video with a very short passage from Beyond Creation Science regarding the passage that I just read to you from Luke 21. And this book, again, is called Beyond Creation Science, New Covenant Creation from Genesis to Revelation, and is by Tim Martin and Jeff Vaughn. And it says, Jesus made this categorical statement before the New Testament was written. And again, this is speaking of Luke 21, verses 20 and 22. I read to you 20 through 22, but that's okay. It's the same thing. Jesus made this categorical statement before the New Testament was written. He speaks of the fulfillment of everything written in the law and prophets. He said that the time of the desolation of Jerusalem is connected to the complete fulfillment of Old Testament prophecy. And in Matthew 5:17, this is me adding, Jesus said, I have come not to abolish the law and the prophets, but to fulfill them. He didn't just come to abolish and fulfill the law. He came not to abolish and fulfill, but to fulfill the prophets. Also, I cannot stress that enough. Don't miss that. Then this passage goes on to say, this proves that the resurrection is now past, because it is promised in Ezekiel 37 and Daniel 12. This proves that the great battle of Gog is now past, because it is promised in Ezekiel 38 and referenced in Revelation 20. This proves that the arrival of the new heavens and earth is in our past, because it was promised in Isaiah 65 and 66. Jesus taught full preterism in his Olivet Discourse. All of those things that I just mentioned are Old Testament prophecies that Jesus said that he came to fulfill, that he said that the days were the days of vengeance in which all prophecy would be fulfilled. Please take his words seriously. That's what I ask. Pray about this, read your Bible, and just actually meditate on what it says. Think about what this says. Don't let what you've been taught your whole life or just what you've thought your whole life take over. Actually think about, what do these words mean? That's all that I have for you today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave one down below. And if you like my work and would like to become a channel member, I will leave a link in the description box for that as well. Or you can just click on it right on my channel page. And I hope you have a great day.